Hello, hello, hello. And we see Big League is very happy to be here tonight.
What's in her
Welcome
cup?
to exactly.
Whatever she wants, I'm
Welcome
sure.
to this week's version of the Athletics LLC and our usual shenanigans that you guys get to be on the inside of every 7 days. I will apologize if my voice goes in and out. I'm not feeling my best, but I will do my best to get through this tonight just for you guys. Everybody doing well?
Peachy.
You know, out here in Denver at altitude, conventioned out. Spades tournament part 2 starts in an hour and a half. We ready to roll.
All right, so I would like to know what your name is, sir. Not yours, the other guy.
Mondo.
Mondo over Bynum.
That's a petty name.
Wow.
That's a petty name.
I apologize for asking that question. So, maybe I do need to wear my glasses when I do this.
Right.
It's just so petty? Tiny. I could. Oh wow, really? Okay. So all right. So let's just dive right in, and we can tell right away it's going to be a very interesting night tonight, everyone. So as we've discussed, 2024 is the Olympic year. We saw some athletes falter last year due to various reasons, coaching changes, injuries, and such like that. So I want you guys to give me one female and one male athlete that you would like to see return to their old form in 2024. And we will start with Mondo over.
Sure. He's talking about the dinner. He's talking about the hosted dinner. Theirs is better than
there you go.
I mean, you can spin it how you want.
Exactly.
Like no matter what you say,
thank you for trying to be helpful, Big League. But go ahead. All right. MOB is what I'm calling you tonight. Let's go.
There we go. See, MOB. Yeah. Money.
Whoa.
Okay. No.
Whoa.
Absolutely. Immediately not, sir.
Whoa.
Immediately no. We're not doing that tonight.
Stop.
Chuck said, what is happening?
I had my goofy pills tonight. I'm sorry, y'all. All right, hold on.
Woosah, get it together.
Please ask me the question again, sir. My mind is clear.
Okay, so I need you to tell me one male and one female athlete that you would like to see return to form for the Olympic year in 2024.
Okay.
That was off last year.
Okay, so can I pick a gender and then we're all gonna do the same gender, or you want both?
Yes. Pick a gender and we'll all do the same gender.
Okay, we're gonna go with the men first.
You're never going first again, by the way. So
I asked you, are you sure you wanted me to go first? I'm going to pick Simone Ehammer.
Okay, can we have a reality with that? You want to tell us who she is?
He is
okay.
the decathlete long jumper who jumped well.
Simone sounds like a woman. I apologize.
Yeah.
So.
He's gonna make me do this early. What does a return to form for Ehammer look like?
See, I knew this was
coming. Because he was who he was. He is who he was. He is who he is. See,
I want to see him back in the
never going first again.
I want to see him back.
That's not returning to form.
You know what?
That's not.
Let somebody else go first. If you don't like my answer,
yes.
I'll give you a better answer.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, KOP, what you got, man?
We're gonna change gears completely.
Yeah,
I would love to see, and it's not like she had a bad season last year. She had a good season, but at the end of the day, it didn't go the way she thought it should have or could have gone. I would like to see Nia Ali return to form and cap off her phenomenal career with an Olympic gold medal in the hurdles. She doesn't have gold. She has silver from Rio. She has world championship gold. She doesn't have the Olympic gold. I would love to see that.
Okay. All right. Big Lee, what you got?
Delilah. Considering what happened last year, all these things, she made a move this year. I'd love to see that all to come to fruition.
Okay.
Oh wait, I hadn't heard about that. That's breaking news.
What happened?
Oh wow. I mean, from what I believe, she's with JS now, right?
That's the rumor I've heard.
Oh, well, hey, thanks, Big League. Didn't know that. And way more interested in your answer now that I've had that information.
I actually
Well
broke
done.
news. Oh,
Yes, you did.
this is what it
Yeah.
feels like, huh?
Oh, geez. I just hope you're right.
I mean, I don't know. Speculation.
My answer is very simple and succinct. Nafi TM. I would like to see her back healthy and putting up big scores.
I can get with that one.
Much better the second time.
Yeah,
Listen.
we really appreciate the effort on the second one. I mean, that was good. I mean, like Neffy is someone that, you know, if Neffy's at her best and Anna's at her best and the Brit's at her best,
yeah.
it just that makes the event it makes it very, very exciting. You know, and the guy that I want to see return to form, I want to see Michael Norman.
Girls.
I'm sorry. Oh, geez. Thank you.
See, it's wearing off. The goofy pills are wearing off.
It's his medicine.
I would like to see Elaine to return back to her form. I mean, it's the Olympic year. She's due, right?
I was
That's what
say,
she does.
I mean, that'll happen.
But I'd like to see that, and I look forward to the 4-headed monster or 5-headed monster that the Olympic women's final could be. You know, in the 100. So that would be exciting. Okay. So KOP,
right.
let's kick you. I'll let you kick it off again because that dude's not doing that.
My men's answer won't be seen as very imaginative, but given the talent and the event, I believe that our sport is better off and more entertaining if Michael Norman is Michael Norman. So I would love to see.
You took Chu and I's both answers, yes.
Now I got to think of a new one.
I'd love to see Michael Norman in the 400 meters.
Yes.
With a chance to take the Olympic gold.
Okay. All right, I'll let MOB go first.
Yeah, please.
Next, I mean, because Chu's not ready.
It's funny. Same event, different person. For obviously a lot of very real reasons, this gentleman had a subpar for him, not subpar for anybody else year. But I am here for the return, the true and utter return of Karate James.
Listen, Linda, I'm going first next time.
I am truly and utterly here for that. And he gave us a little taste of it at the very end, the very last week of the season, that there's still gas in that tank.
Yeah, there is. All right, Big League, what you got?
Golly.
Sorry, Simone. They vetoed you.
We just didn't know what it meant.
I didn't even know who he was, so that made it even worse.
All right, Simon E. Hammer. Is that better?
There you go. Yeah,
it is
basically.
Better, actually.
That's not his name.
So I'm going to go off the cuff on this one. But there is some ties because I got to see him run as a scholastic athlete. But Cole Hawker, kind of a down year for him. Didn't do as explosive things as he did in the year past and the year before that. So hopefully that was because he was training hard. And this is just a part of the training cycle for him. So Cole Hawker.
See, mine is going to fit into, the other two answers. Stevie Gardner.
Yeah.
Now if Stevie and Michael and Karate all show up, what a show, right?
That's what we all want.
Exactly. What a show. So
not to mention the ghost of Wade Van Niekerk, right?
Yeah, like I said. Exactly. If Wade shows up and that makes an incredible, again, 4-headed monster. And you would hope that some of the other USA guys would show up as well. I mean, I think it's time that, and I guess it's a challenge to myself and the other 400 meter coaches in this country. Like, we need to stop acting as if 43 seconds is fast or unobtainable. I think that's, it's like somebody runs 44.9 and people lose their minds. I'm like, it's not fast. Like, we got to get that out of our minds. We have to return to the philosophy that 43 seconds is the standard and we have to fight to run that, So I have a question.
We all agree on that. I'm sorry, I have to take because he very rarely gives us opportunities to just smack him upside the head with shenanigans. So, Mr. Mondo Overbine, our illustrious EP.
Yes, sir.
When you want to see Mr. Ehammer return to form,
we're back to this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Does that mean you would love to see him long jumping 816 again for a bronze medal? Because
I was trying to talk about his decathlon because that's what happened last year. He got hurt, so he didn't do the deck the last half of the season. He had shoulder surgery in the offseason.
Got you. Because the last deck on his record of note was his World U20 Championship from 2018.
No. You I don't know what list you're looking at.
His World Athletics Profile of Honors.
He scored 84. He was like third at Europeans.
Oh, okay. So third at Europeans return to form. Gotcha. Bet for sure.
It's 84 high. He has the standard. The standard's 8460. It's not like that's trash.
Okay. Hey, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. So you get one ticket to one event in Paris. What is the one event that you want the ticket to for the final?
I'm sorry. Event track and field or event in this in Olympics?
See, don't make me come through the screen. You know I'm
talking
about track and field. No.
Okay, listen now.
Earth to choose. One event in the track and field world, to be specific, you get that. Only get ticket to one event final. What event final do you want to come watch?
Who's going first?
We'll let you go first because you seem the only one that has an answer ready.
Okay.
KOP is close.
I have a ticket. I have a ticket to the first thing I want to see, but the women's 400 hurdles is definitely the ticket I don't already have that I want to be there for.
What?
400 hurdles.
Women's 400 hurdles.
What do you mean you have a ticket already? No, you don't. This is my world. You got one ticket.
Okay. Anyway, he'll figure it out.
Walk across
the
street.
I know where you're going, but the answer is no, you don't have a ticket.
Yes, I do.
You do not.
Darn it.
KOP.
Women's 400 hurdles. That's the one I don't want to not be in the stands for.
Yeah. We'll come back around.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
This has to be a women's event because then we'll come back and do a men's.
Oh well, I'm going to strategically cheat the question because as we know, if I have a ticket to one event, that's a evening session that I'm going to see things. So the ticket that I want,
one event
is I want the ticket. I'm gonna tell you, I want the ticket to the 4x1 finals because then I'm also going to see the women's 400 meter final, the women's 10K final, the women's shot final, and the men's triple jump final.
We're not doing that.
Including the men's 400 hurdle final. I want the August 9th ticket.
You are horrible.
we're not doing that.
So you only get to watch one event, Knucklehead Fred. What women's event do you not want to miss?
Women's event that I don't want to miss?
Yes.
The 100 final. The 100 meter.
Thank you. Big league.
I want to see the HEP final. The last day of the HEP.
All right. Thank you. See how easy that was? This dude gave me like 10 events.
August 9th, baby. That's August 9th.
No. You're cheating again.
That's the ticket to have. August 9th,
the women, for me, I want to see the 200 final. I don't want to miss the 200 final. I think that's going to be epic. So we're going to go back around now and give me a men's final. And we'll start with KOP and don't give me the whole lineup. Just one men's final.
No, I don't need the whole lineup because my men's final is on August 9th. The men's 400 final.
All right, there you go. Big league, what you got?
I want to see the men's pole vault.
Okay.
You just want to watch it by Mondo?
I was like, okay. Mondo over Biden. See?
Oh my gosh.
What do you have? What's the one you don't want to miss?
The men's decathlon final.
Okay.
I have no desire to miss that.
And I'm going to go with the men's 400. I take that back. You know what? I'm going to go with the men's 1500. I think that was going to be epic. I really do. Okay. Now that you guys have totally messed up that.
Can I say one thing though, for real? Like, for real?
Yeah, for real.
I know you would never say this, but I really do think that the men's 110 hurdle final might be one of the things I'm most anticipating seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to be outside of the show, absolutely. That's the one I don't want to miss, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So, question. What has happened to the dual sport athletes, specifically the football track athletes? Way back in the day for us older folks, it was a common thing. And now it is very uncommon. What do we think has happened? And do we think it'll ever come back? And because of his smirk, KOP's ready for this one. So
this is actually not that complicated
at all.
It's layered, but it's not that complicated. One, is it ever going to get back? No, absolutely not. There is way too much money, both professional and now collegiately, tied up in the football spectrum. But before all of the money exploded, NILs and all this other stuff, what killed it was the scheduling that the football coaches, most likely the assistant football coaches, were hanging over the heads of the dual sport athlete. If your team is really, really good and you're playing in a bowl, you wouldn't see the kid at all until January. And when they come in January, you might get January out of them. You may even get February out of them. But right around end of February, start of March, now they are being demanded to go away for spring ball. And there's no time to do the dual practices in a way that's going to be beneficial for track and field. Track and field has evolved to a place where you can't just step off the football field anymore and compete like that. So if you're going to miss a month and a half in the middle of the season, prime developmental time for the end of outdoor, at best, you're going to see a football dude be a relay bandit somewhere, in the mix. But the days of football guys making the 100-meter final and being relevant, to win a race, long gone.
Now we must give credit to Cole Beck from Virginia Tech, who was a football player who did make the 100-meter final last year.
No, right, and that's
but he's an outlier.
That is
exactly
not going to be the trend moving forward.
That's never going to be the norm again, is what you're saying. Okay, Big Lee, what are your thoughts on this?
Along the same lines, specificity. We even as the parental units, looking at it from a different perspective, have tried to make our young people good at a thing, as opposed to being multifaceted. So at one point we're high academics. Then when they're not smart enough to be high academics, they went, okay, well, you've got to find your niche. So whatever your niche is, you feed into that. If they're an actor, if they're an athlete, whatever it might be. So by doing that, we've now lost it. I had a former college teammate. She reached out and she's like, I need help with my 6-year-old. He really likes football and wants to be a football player, a pro football player. What are some workouts? What are some things I could do with him?
At 6.
I literally said, I stopped.
Have him play outside.
I stopped her. I said, can he pee in the toilet without missing? And she said, no. I said, so focus on that. Milestones. So I think it's specificity. We're honing in on these things way too early. So we're not even allowing the athletes to be athletes. They're just players of such sport. So.
I will take that stick and run completely straight down that lane. Kids are being asked to be far more skilled at a far younger age than they used to be. And therefore, their parents are being duped into believing that they have to have additional practices and training in this particular sport to be any good going forward in the sport. So rather than do two sports, we have to do off-season training for the one sport, right? So we have fall baseball, we have winter training for baseball, and we have spring and summer baseball. Pick another sport, it's the same thing. Same thing with soccer, same thing with volleyball. Obviously, always has been, same thing with football. It used to be, if you were athletically gifted enough, the coaches would accept what you were doing in those sports as off-season training, right? So like, you know, if you were a football player, you could run track and the coaches didn't think you were slacking, you were getting faster and they accepted that, right? It's not that way anymore. So like, I mean, we have an 11-year-old who is playing baseball and soccer, and the coaches are both looking at me sideways like, so when's he going to give up the other sport? I'm like, as soon as they start paying him. But most parents in today's world are not like that. They succumb to the pressure and they're like, well, he would be better at shortstop if he stopped playing soccer. And the whole reason we put him in soccer is for shortstop. Like, it's for the footwork and the aggression and all those things. You know, he'd be better than just a rear back defender if he played more soccer and didn't have to go to baseball. Well, okay. Which would make him good enough to be a high school American soccer player, which means he's a millennium behind anybody in Europe his age. So we're not doing that. But I think that's kind of what it is, right? Like, they're asking kids didn't have to be skilled at 11, 12, and 13 years old before. They're asking them to be skilled now, not just talented. They're asking them to be skilled.
Okay. Yeah, man, and I think there's a lot to open up there, to unpack there. And I think that you guys are absolutely right. I think money is clearly the number one driving force behind this.
No question.
You know, with the NIL and, you know, everything else that's going on, I think they look at it as a risk factor, the injury factor. You know, they don't look at it as with like, you know, the most exciting team in football right now is probably the Miami Dolphins, and they just go up and they got a bunch of track guys, right? But they don't look at it like that anymore. You know, so I mean, to think A-Chain was a SEC finalist for sure, qualified for the NCAAs. Tyreek was the NCAA finalist. They got Anthony Schwartz, I think they just signed him recently. You know, so, but I think at the end of the day, I agree with you guys. And I mean, and it's always been a battle with strength coaches for this, because I think that they're missing something with them. And I know, you know, the people I've been able to work with here in Florida, Steve Spurrier was the best one. You know, as long as they could help track and field, he was all for it, because he said it was going to help them be better on the football field. And they just don't see a lot of that anymore at all. So I think that with this, that might be dinosaurs right now, right? Just is never going to happen again. Might be the issue. So when I saw this question, right, I want Clyde's take on this one. Like, I really want to see what he has to say about this one. Let's talk about the NBA. Okay, the Lakers win the inaugural NBA in-season tournament, the NBA Cup as they dubbed it, right? So, what do we think about the tournament itself? And does this make the Lakers and Pacers favorites to meet again in the NBA Finals?
I'll start at the end. I don't think the NBA Cup results have anything to do with favorites to make the NBA Finals. It's a totally different tournament. It's a totally different context. The NBA Cup was dope. If you weren't paying attention, you should have been. I think Adam Silver is actually doing something quite brilliant. He's trying to put elements of professional soccer into the NBA regular season to make it more entertaining. If somehow, some way, the NBA could continue to grow this model and we get to a point of relegation where you can't tank anymore, because if you tank, your ass ain't going to be in the NBA next year, that would be phenomenal. The only issue that I had with the tournament itself is the one thing that they didn't do this year, and I get it, it's their inaugural trip in. Moving forward, whoever wins the NBA Cup should be a guaranteed playoff spot. I don't care what the seed is, but a guaranteed playoff spot. That would make it even more intriguing. I think watching it, if you were paying attention, you should have figured out that the Indiana Pacers are actually a damn good team and are a problem in the East. I don't think a lot of people understood that before this started to happen. And if whatever side of the LeBron argument you're on, like, this dude is it's just spectacular. Yeah. And if he can somehow drag Anthony Davis metaphorically, emotionally, to play at a quarter of his ability on a consistent basis, then the Lakers, I would say, are the favorite in the West. But that's a really big if. LeBron is old and Anthony Davis is soft. And I don't see how that can continue into April and May. But if somehow it could, I'll take the Lakers in the West. But the spectacle of it, perfect. Loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Awesome. All right, Bigley, what you got?
I didn't pay attention to it. I'll be honest, because I was like, huh? Like, it reminds me of high school basketball when we have the Christmas tournaments and then you have the real thing, whatever championship that might be. So because of Clyde's such passionate words towards how good it was, I will pay attention next year, I promise. I do like your idea of whoever wins the in-season tournament gets a bid. I do like that, because then it puts weight and actual value to it rather than doing a pseudo tryout per se. I don't think so I did watch it, but I didn't pay attention to it. I don't think that it automatically makes the Pacers and the Lakers contenders in the long season. We've seen way too many things happen between A and B before we get to Z to make them stay relevant, whether it's injury, changes, things of that nature. So no, but those are my two favorite teams. So I am here for if they are making it in the end.
Okay. Mondo?
Well, okay. The first part of the question, yeah, I think that the in-season tournament literally will have absolutely no bearing on the postseason tournament. But it was cool to watch. The only thing I didn't like about it, honestly, was the damn floors. Like, the red floor made my head hurt. But I love the concept of the tournament, because everybody has said for more than a decade, regular season basketball in the NBA is almost unwatchable because it is so boring. Nobody takes it seriously until the fourth quarter. So it at least made a portion of the season that was basically lost relevant. But part of the issue you have is, to Clyde's point, one of the NBA's very best players, and definitely the NBA's best competitor, is also the oldest guy in the league. And I can't imagine that him burning the candle at both ends to win this tournament is not going to be a problem later. Right? I just can't imagine that that's not an issue. As far as, like, what do I think is going to be the relevance at the end of the year, there's so much basketball left to play. I mean, the Lakers won the tournament and they're like third or fourth in the West because they play all these games, right? And so at the end of the day, like, it really might not have a bearing at all, like literally at all. But I like it, and I think that Clyde's answer, or any other answer like that makes the first half mean something, is a great idea. I think anybody who has paid any attention to soccer understands that relegation is maybe the best answer possible in team sports. If you want people to compete for the entire season, relegation is the greatest answer to that for sure. Because what you can't do is finish last or third to last or whatever the relegation line is. You're gonna play hard enough to not be there.
And I, just to be clear about what I'm saying, where I'm not talking about the in-season tournament. Imagine a world, I don't know what the best Euro basketball league is, but there is one, right? the Euro League champion next year gets to be in the NBA, and the worst team in the NBA has to go play in the Euro League to get themselves back in. Can we please get to that? Not only would it make you world champions for real, but it's not like the travel's that big of a deal anymore. They're all flying private jets anyway. I am so here for that. And I really believe that that's the start of where Adam Silver would like to go, because it was a pure soccer tournament in how it worked. It was great.
Yeah. The other thing I liked about the tournament was the margin of victory totals. I thought that was also very interesting, right? Because one of the games I actually watched from beginning to end and locked in was the one where the Warriors had to win by 12 over the Kings.
Yeah.
That was
because of the point differentials. Yeah,
that was great. It's like the Elam ending, like that. Whoever came up with that, I know Mr. Elam. Like, it's a great idea, and they do that in the All-Star game. That's also great.
It brought a lot of excitement to a very boring time of year in the NBA. There used to be a time when you looked forward to watching the NBA on whatever channel on Christmas Day. Not so much anymore.
There's like 6 games on it. There's 6 games on Christmas Day,
and then they will all be born into the fourth quarter. That's what'll happen. But I mean, I thought the element of the competitive element, it was great. I'm a Lakers fan, so it was easy for me to be excited about it. But LeBron was LeBron. I mean, and his teammates responded. I agree that the Pacers are young and exciting, energetic, and people better pay attention to them, because they're going to be a problem as long as they keep themselves focused. They've got a great coach. I can't imagine that they won't. And like one of the announcers said, I mean, hey, there's money involved, so people are going to play hard when there's money on the line. But I think too, I agree that if you're going to have this in-season tournament, then it should be a payoff at the end of it, as far as, okay, both you guys make sure you're guaranteed to be in the playoffs. The only issue we have there, do these two teams now take it to save it so that they can be when the playoffs start?
But they would have earned it, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing there at all. Yeah, So, so again, I think overall it was a great idea. It brought some excitement. I too was not a fan of the floor. It didn't give me a headache, but
it was just the red one. It was just the red.
Some of them looked good.
Yeah,
but the bad ones were really bad.
Really bad. Yeah, they were.
The red one reminded me of
TV
Eastern
and you're
Washington.
Like, what is that?
The red one reminded me of Eastern Washington football field. It's like, it's not, you can't watch more than one football game there, right? It just you can't. It's too much red.
Terrible. You were terrible. All right, so kind of a topic that we hadn't just talking on the show that Clyde brought up earlier, I think is an interesting topic. Clyde brought up the topic of altitude versus no altitude, adjustments. And so, Clyde, I want to give you a chance to state your case as why you think that it might be a good idea just to get rid of the altitude adjustments, and then we'll discuss that a little bit.
So, as you know, if you come to the convention, there are ideas that turn into proposals and proposals that turn into votes. And I don't want to say too much, because I think it's actually a really, really good idea. I was a part of a discussion today where, shocking to me, a prominent distance program floated the idea of putting together a proposal to do away with indexing for altitude adjustments. I was shocked that a distance-oriented situation would throw that out there. And what I said was, sir, if prominent distance people get behind this, you're not going to get any argument from the sprint and jump people at all. Because here's the thing, case in point, I've never seen documentable science of how these altitude adjustments have been determined. When I ask people about it, I always get different answers. And, my thing is, if you go to, I'm in the Mountain West, we have our conference championships in Albuquerque. If you go to Albuquerque and run 6.60 in the 60, It should just be 6.60 in the 60. And I don't know why the athletes are taxed and their marks then made worse when, correct me if I'm wrong here, we had the NCAA championships in Albuquerque. I don't remember after the meet was over any of those records being altered because they were at altitude. So I just think, given the plethora of, access to facilities now, there's indoor facilities popping up all over the country. I think that if we can get to a place where the mark is the mark and let's just go have at it, then if people want to make a strategic choice to go to a Texas Tech and try to get a slightly altitude mark, or the old school Boise track, whatever that used to be, right? The distance runners aren't going to go choose to run an altitude race to get their marks. They're going to go to Boston, or they're going to go to whatever, right? So since the indexing doesn't really make any sense anyway, and there's no science behind it, why don't we just get rid of it and let things go be what it is?
So my response to that is, of course, there's a distance coach that makes the proposal. Because they're the ones that, because they get the biggest advantage because of the adjustment, right?
But they want to get rid of it.
I understand that, but they don't, because it also hurts them to run at altitude. That's why they don't go. That's why you don't get as many altitude marks in the qualify for the distance events as you do for the sprints. Not even close. Every now and then you get that weird situation where in your conference, New Mexico or somebody goes and they run really well in the DMR based on the adjustment, right? But very few distance runners go to altitude to qualify.
Exactly.
Do it. And that's my point. So of course it was a distance coach who brought it up because it doesn't affect them as much. But it greatly affects the sprint areas, because if you go back and look, and I paid attention to this, very rarely does a sprinter go to an altitude aided situation and come back to sea level and run close to what they ran at altitude. Yeah. So there's a competitive advantage to be able to run at altitude. So if you go to altitude and you run 660 and it's adjusted to 664, you come down to sea level and you run 667. It's an advantage. It's a huge advantage.
But would you agree that there's no actual science behind changing it from 660 to 664?
I would definitely.
How did we get to that?
Somebody sat in the room and said, "Hey, this is what I think." It was somebody, because supposedly whoever did this did research, right? And this is the numbers they came up with. So supposedly, right? Right. So it's just like remember they used to index the 200 bank and the 300 was a difference, and they decided they were the same, which they're not. Right?
They're not.
So I definitely think that the indexing is wrong, but I don't think you can just say that that you run it in Albuquerque and you run in Birmingham and it's the same, because it's not.
No. And let's be clear. I'm not suggesting that it's the same. My argument is very simple. Since we do not know that the indexing is correct, we shouldn't be using it at all. Now,
that's a different argument. But I would say that
if Coach Holloway has the resources to hire person X to come back to us with some actual,
there must be another Coach Holloway out there, because I'm not getting in the middle of that. But excuse me, no sir. But so I get your point. Like I told you, I get your point. And we've had these discussions before, and because there was a time when it wasn't, they didn't count it against them. And then so people would run out there and go to get a mark at the last chance meet or during the season, and they show up at the bigger meet, and it's just no. Because think about all the records that were broken in Albuquerque last year. That didn't show you that altitude makes a big difference. And obviously great talent, great track, all that helped. But running at altitude definitely makes a difference.
So, and I really don't remember, so I want y'all to correct me. Juju set the 60-meter record at the championship last year, right?
And the 200 as well.
But sure, her time in the 60 was 7 flat or 699?
696 or 7.
697. What's the NCAA record in the 60? It's still 697, right? Like,
yes, you see, but that's different. But see, okay, you're talking about records versus qualifying, right?
but that's my point, right? Shouldn't it be one and the same? And again, I'm not arguing
Well,
for
see,
it.
but it can't be one and the same because the altitude definitely aids the person that runs at altitude more than it does the person that runs at sea level.
No, but my point is,
but to your
if
point,
you
also
do,
there is an altitude record and a low altitude record.
but is there? Because last I checked,
Yeah.
the NCAA record is just the NCAA record. So if
But
Juju doesn't get taxed for a
but
record,
trust me, but no, she doesn't get taxed for the record. But if there's somebody out there, and it may be her, but there's like, okay, I'll give you an example. Like in the 400, Britton Wilson has the collegiate record, but Cleta Dix has the low altitude collegiate record. You know, that's all. That's always been the case. So I mean, again, it's apples and oranges, I think. But I just don't know a world where, and I know the EP said this earlier, like, how do you make that go away and make it make sense to everybody? EP, what's your take on this?
So, like, it's not necessarily exactly the same as Chuck as from the junk science standpoint, but this has always been my issue, right? If it is scientifically driven, then we should be able to break it all the way down to its smallest compound, meaning we should be able to know how many feet of elevation are required for every 1/100th of an advantage. Am I making sense? Right. So it should be a formula we can plug in, but it's not. So if you run at Texas Tech and you run at Boise State, you run at Flagstaff, you get taxed the same. And at Albuquerque, those four places are completely different at altitude. Right. And so, like,
but you don't get taxed the same because there are different levels of altitude and different levels of taxation, as you would call it. There are different levels.
If you run the 60,
but Chuck's point is that there's no scientific proof.
No, right.
And the taxation, as you call it, is right. There's
nowhere near any proof that the taxation is right or what the taxation is per feet. Yeah. And not just that, there is also a blind assumption that the taxation is linear, which makes no sense. Right? Because if you run at 5,000 feet and you run at 7,000 feet, there is no way that the difference is the same. Right? Like that extra 2,000 feet is going to affect you more than the 2,000 feet between 3,000 and 5,000. Yeah. Right. But by using a blanket number, we're going linear and there's no way. So I definitely believe that it's just like the tracks. You have to index them. But if we're going to index them, we have to put science into it and figure out exactly what the indexing should be. It's funny. The track indexing has gotten close. The 200 bank and the 300 is not the same. I think we all agree with that, right? But the indexing between the 200 flat and the 200 bank, that's pretty close. Like they got that pretty.
I disagree. I'm just saying it's not an argument. I disagree because the biggest travesty ever is the DMR.
Well, so I was going to get to that.
Back to the distance side of it, right?
Because again, it's not a linear problem, right? They take the adjustment that you make from the 200 flat to the 200 bank on a 200 and multiply it out for the 4 and multiply it out for the 8, and that's not right. Science is the math doesn't work like that, but that's what we've done. So that's why those indexes are definitely way off. But there's no question that I feel like there needs to be altitude indexing. But to Clyde's point, if there's not real science behind it and we don't know exactly what it is, we're really just guessing. And I think that's a terrible way to do anything.
Exactly. And I think that's the major point here is there's a lot of guesswork into this. And I just don't know how you make it go away. Or who's out there, because I know it's not Coach Holloway that has the time to go out and do a deep dive and figure out what it actually is. And I don't know. And again, I don't know how you actually determine what it actually is, because I'm going to be able to do something at altitude at the same altitude, and it might affect me differently than it affects you, right? So like, I don't even way there cannot be any exact science to this, in my opinion, anyway.
The funny part is when the Olympic Training Center was in Colorado Springs, I will bet you that there is information that has been since destroyed that actually could have answered these questions. Because they took all the sprinters and all the jumpers and the throwers and they would do camps there, right? Almost all of those people lived at sea level, and then they did testing at altitude. So they probably have real answers, but they've obviously all been thrown away at this point because there hasn't been a track at Colorado Springs in a very long time. But that's the only way you could do it, right? You'd have to have a really large sample size, to your point, because you can't just use you, right? So right. You have to have a really large sample size of performances and performers to be able to evaluate the data. And I think we all agree that the random 0.04 or 0.02 or whatever it is, like, that ain't right.
Right. Big League, you got any thoughts on this?
No, I don't know how you can get a consistent indexing with the uniqueness of every athlete. Like, even if we did blood draws, measuring the oxygenation of the blood and things like that, sickle cell throws that all out the door.
Mm-hmm.
So that you can't, it's not that linear. So if you take the raw data and just, you either have to be better and stop sucking. I don't know.
Right.
Go faster.
I think so. There's two sides of the coin here, right? Go ahead, EP.
To be funny, not funny, you also have Mondo tracks and binding tracks at altitude, and the science says that those aren't the same either. No, I'm just saying, like, the variables that are in there.
Nobody arguing with you that way, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I was not trying to be funny, but I know it's going to seem funny. But that's why exact indexing is really expensive. Because you have to have a control, and you have to do all of the possibilities.
And again, I think, I don't know how it's possible to get exact indexing. There's just too many variables involved. And, so at the end of the day, I understand the frustration of the coaches when dealing with this, but I don't know how what the solution is, because you can't have a situation where you're just totally throw away the indexing, because that's not fair to the people running it. That's totally at sea level. So
just a note, when you all are voting on Thursday, don't vote for the opposite thing thinking it's funny, because that's going to go into effect. I actually heard coaches last year talking about, I'm just going to vote this way because it doesn't matter anyways. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Right.
So, sorry.
All right. Well, I must confess that one, questions were supposed to be for the governor this week, and I don't have questions for anybody this week. But someone did say to me that, when was I going to allow you guys to ask me questions? So if you guys have a question, oh God, this guy's always ready for that one. So have at it, Mondo over Biden. You can start this one off since you're so excited to do it. And you're muted till we can't even. Oh, you unmuted yourself. Okay.
Well, I didn't want the giddiness to come out too. It's fun to ask you questions because nobody really gets to see you squirm very often. So it is definitely more fun. We have teased you for a very long time about your childlike palate. If you were forced for the next calendar year to eat 3 things and only 3 things, and they were not currently things that you eat, so there's no what are them things called? There's no chicken fingers, there's no chicken nuggets, there's no plain ass hamburger.
I eat plain hamburgers, but chicken fingers and chicken nuggets are not on my palate. So I can't have chicken, I can't have ribs, I can't have hamburger. Okay, so if I had to eat 3 things, first of all, I'm going to eat shrimp because I've come to like shrimp. I have. And I'm going to eat salmon because I've actually had a little bit of that and I like that. Oh man. Oh man. And I you know what? I had some festival from Jamaica. Those are my 3 things. And you're muted again, sir. So We can't hear you. So.
Well, I didn't think you needed to hear me clap. I was clapping.
Those are my three things. Okay. That was a good question. Big Lee, what you got?
Regardless of situation, would you prefer to be accompanied by, work with, however you want to put it, someone with lesser training but the willingness to learn, or an elite individual who might be contrary?
I want the lesser training but willing to learn. What I found in my experiences is that when I get the contrarian, it's impossible to teach the contrarian because they're so adamant about teaching me their ways, right? So we can't even have a collaboration. It's just like boom. But with the person that's learning, I can encourage them to share their thoughts with me, and then we can have a conversation. And I've learned in those situations sometimes, right? But with the contrarian, it's like, hey, this is what should be. I mean, I've had people, hey, but don't you think you should do this? Well, if I thought that, I'd be doing it, but I probably don't think that way. So.
If I did that,
right?
we'd be talking more, right?
Exactly,
you'd be the champion.
Exactly. KOP?
Questions for Mr. Holloway.
Question, not don't take that S off of there.
What petty question could I come up with?
Oh Lord.
Spades.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
we are here at the convention. At least I am.
You are.
Yeah, you are.
What is your feeling on business versus entertainment time at the convention?
Very good question, and I'm glad that you asked me that. I think that people need to understand that a convention serves two spaces. There are 24 hours in a day, and if a convention starts at 8 in the morning and runs until 5 or 6 in the afternoon, I have no truck, no angst, no anything with people enjoying themselves in the evening time. Because a convention, I don't know of any convention space that anybody's ever been to or talked about or whatever you want to say, where it's just strictly business all day long, right? So for the people out there that have angst with people because they choose to enjoy themselves at night after they've handled their business all day, I think that they're just being silly, to be honest with you. You know, there's no problem with, you guys having a space tournament after you've been conventioning all day long. Just because I choose to go in my room and watch TV till I fall asleep doesn't mean that you should do the same, right? It's just not the way the world works. So for those people out there that have angst with that, shame on them. That's just not the way the world works. If we were all the same people, we'd lead a very, very boring existence. And I will say this: I've never played in this spade tournament. I'm going to play one day. I give you my word on that. And you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised at how skilled I am. But I will say this: the group of people that were involved in the spade tournament last year, at one moment I hear them talking about convention items and things they learned at the convention, and then it immediately becomes, whoa, tonight's spade tournament, man. I got to get ready. Like, how do you get ready to play spades, right? You gotta go upstairs, take a shower,
Right.
But that's what it turned into, right? Exactly, right? So it's a place for these kind of things at the convention. Absolutely is. So that's my answer. Little winded.
I got one more.
Yes, sir. Oh, Lord,
I want to ask you the Gilbert Arenas question. I think this and Clyde will love this question because this is one of the most petty, like, clear lines of delineation things I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so on Gilbert's podcast, he was asked, or the question was asked, would you rather make $45 million a year and never win a championship, and start, right? You start and you make $45 million a year and you never win a championship, or make $11 million a year, come off the bench, and you have 3 or 4 rings?
It's $11 million a year and get 3 or 4 rings. I want to win.
Gilbert.
Not Gilbert. Look,
Gilbert.
I completely agree. Gilbert was like,
No,
hell no. Gilbert was not only was he talking about the money, he's like, you won't drive what I drive, you won't live where I live,
okay,
and
but
your
here's
work,
the thing.
meaning your girl, won't be as good as mine.
But here's the thing.
I laughed.
11, but see, Gilbert's delusional because 11 million and 45 million, I'm good. I can get this. I can drive the same car you're driving. I can live in the same kind of house you're living in. Now, I might not have as much money in the bank as you do. Okay. And if the girl, if my net worth is what gets me the girl, I don't want her anyway. So there,
I'm trying to win championships. Gil was like, damn them rings, I want the money. I was like, I gotta ask somebody else this because this seems like a ridiculous question to me.
First of all, 11 million a year, I'm good.
I mean,
good.
okay, let's make the number.
Wealth.
Let's make the number 1.5 million.
I'm still good because I'm gonna be okay on 1.5, because I don't. Maybe I just underestimated that dude. I thought he wanted to win.
No, Gilbert want the bag and the life.
Wow.
Yes.
Clearly,
I will say this.
Okay.
I will say this. Gilbert is nuts, but he's one of the most entertaining people to follow on the internet.
No, for sure.
Gilbert, and he's super smart. He's very smart. But Gilbert says
one of them came on there. One of them came on there was talking about like how he's like, and he said to Gil like, you couldn't touch me in high school. He was like, listen. He goes, there is no chance that you or anybody else could deal with me in high school. And he's like, how are you gonna say that? He's like, all right. He's like, you were a high school superstar. He's like, how many assists did you average? He was like, I was like, 24.7 assists and whatever rebounds. Gil averaged 1 assist a game. He never passed the basketball and still averaged like 30 points, right? So what did he say? He's like, if you know I'm not passing it and you still can't stop me, what does that tell you about my game? And I was like, this is wild logic, but he's actually right.
Yeah, he is.
Right? Like if you average 30 and 1, you A, are a black hole, but B, you are a truly gifted scorer. Because if everybody knows when you get the ball you're trying to score, they're gonna D you up and triple team you. And you still not passing?
We'll round back to your question. I want the 11 million in the rings. And I'll come off the bench. Whatever I need to do. I want to win.
Yeah, the rings are the thing, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, unless anybody else has any other obscure questions, we will call it a wrap for this week's edition of the Athletics LLC. We hope everybody enjoyed our shenanigans as always. And we hope the next 7 days are as pleasant as the last 7 were. And we look forward to seeing you guys in a week. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.